Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, agents. I am Mounty Curl, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk right here on Gun Brothers Gaming. In today's edition that we are going to talk about, and I want to hear your comments and everything you got to say about the division and esports down in the comments section below after this video, after you've watched it, after you've heard everything that I have to say, and you go ahead and hit that comment button. I'm looking for comments as to why this isn't going to happen, or is it is going to happen, something like that. But we're going to talk about how the division could move into the world of esports today. So, Tom Clancy's The Division, that's what we're here to talk about. It has seen a parallel rebirth, the likes of which many of us saw in the dying Rainbow Six Siege right after it was, or right before it was revamped, or as most of us call it, finished. Rainbow Six is one of those titles that people played and then they put down because it was pretty much garbage on launch. It was like they released a beta version of the game, which in today's term equates to a demo. The end product, which came more than a few months afterwards and launched the game, it breathed new life into it. And what people, thought would be a dead game, by this time, it is now a finished product and people are playing it by the droves. It is insane. We'll talk about stuff like the Steam chart, how it had about 7,000 unique players per hour when it launched and now has over 60,000 players per hour. It is insane what Rainbow Six Siege has done. And so instead of being one of the worst games ever made and a complete failure by Ubisoft, it's one of the top thriving esports titles in the competitive scene today. And though it is, it has its share of issues, it's well-rounded and people seem to enjoy it now more than ever, and especially more than when it launched. It's even shown a rise in players over the past few months despite being almost 2 years old, or at least over 2 years old. In fact, the lowest player count was actually at the launch of the game in 2015, sitting at around 5,000 unique players per hour, and now it frequently peaks at between 70 and 100,000 unique players per hour. That is insane for a game that's 2 years old, at least in something that was considered terrible when it launched and then revamped. Developers and publishers relish those types of numbers because it shows that the game is alive, it's healthy, they can make more money, they can make more content, and they can survive for as long as they need to until a newer version is released. The Division, right now, today, you are experiencing it. It has experienced the opposite of this, with over 60,000 unique players the first month, and then dropping to 20,000 the next month, then just absolutely dropping off the face of the earth, to having less than 2,000 players in August of 2016. Things looked bleak, and that the game would die, and many wrote it off as dead, as they did Rainbow Six a month after its release. Now, almost 2 years into the game's cycle, massive, the developers behind The Division have released patch 1.8, and if you haven't been under a rock, it added a bunch of new modes and stuff like that, and that has brought in over 10,000 unique players per hour back to The Division, and the numbers continue to rise. And of course, we're talking about these Steam numbers, and those Steam numbers are 10,000 unique people per hour. It is insane. That is an insane amount of people in the grand scheme of basically a game that had like 1,500 back in August. But among the many features of the 1.8, by far one of the most important features is the inclusion of Skirmish, a 4v4 multiplayer deathmatch that players have been asking for. The inclusion of the Skirmish mode has prompted many to think the Division may have the potential to be a viable entry into the esports scene if optimizations to the game can be made and they can kind of bring down some of the server crap. Most importantly, Massive would need to overhaul the current mode to allow for team-based challenge play instead of random matchmaking. This would allow teams to choose who they play and directly challenge as a competitor. We've already seen that Massive has the ability to do leaderboards, and with a few small adjustments, creating ranked team ladders wouldn't be that difficult. You hear that, Massive? Not that difficult. Just like console PTS. Remember when that was almost impossible? You can never say never to this kind of stuff. What makes this a prime candidate for esports play is the diversity that the Division has between builds. It allows you to play any way you like. This, however, would need to be addressed as we moved into the esports with the current metas of Predator's Mark and Nomad classified pieces. Some of that stuff would have to be brought up, but providing ranked participants the ability to customize gear and create competitive loadouts while loading into the game, that would be a game changer for this type of community game, and probably one of the first in the realm of esports for a looter shooter. Other similar games have had some talk or discussion in the realm of esports, but the randomness of gameplay often kept it out of any real contention, such as the original Destiny. Destiny 2, when that was released and the maximum team size was brought down to 4, many thought it was poised to be an esport, but as many have witnessed, the game simply isn't for esports due to the numerous amount of issues surrounding legacy Halo bugs and rampant cheating with Chronos Max adapter that they have failed to address. Although it is fixed, it could see, or if it is fixed, it could see esports play in the future. The Division team at Massive worked on fixing these issues early as players used the Chrono Max to create rapid fire weapons that weren't meant to be in the gameplay, turning almost any gun, even the sniper rifles, into rapid fire machine guns. Many of these issues wouldn't be issues as developers created unique environments for the game, creating one-off versions that allow more for customization and less random gameplay. Basically an esports version that allowed for spectator modes and stuff like that. Server stability would be at the forefront of this conversation, as I feel and many feel that this is one of the major issues holding a lot of Ubisoft titles back from the esports experience. In essence, this may only affect those that are qualifying for the actual event, since the dedicated LAN server would be much more stable than a traditional server run by the traditional Division multiplayer experience. And as you all know, it's not very good. That's probably the number one complaint I hear about all the time, is how bad the Division servers are. So with many developers and publishers looking to cash in on the early esports play, it's no surprise to see many developers looking and adding modes and changing how games play just so they can fit in with the ever-increasing esports crowd. Why not? Esports is poised to be $1 billion business by 2020 if it isn't already, with Ivy League colleges offering full rides for their varsity teams. They come in, they try out, they get a full ride scholarship if they're that good, and players cashing in big on tournaments. I think what was the PUBG Invitational had a $100,000 prize. So being the best could mean having a career that shows your parents that those hours of video game playing could pay off in a big way. So what do you guys think? Do you think that the Division is ready to move into the esports arena with the skirmish mode? I think that that is definitely something that is a possibility. There's some, just some tweaks and stuff that need to be made with that game mode. And so once it does that, that will be a great way, because a lot of people really wanted that 4v4 and they wanted to try out builds in the realm of that without having to go into a toxic place like the Dark Zone and have to deal with those guys, or going rogue, or doing something like that. So what do you guys think? I want to hear your comments down below. Why or why not do you think that this game is ready for esports? What changes would you like to see so that it would be ready for esports? Drop a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am Mounty Carl. I'm trying to get these out as much as possible. I'm hitting 2018 hard. I'm going to be streaming here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and make 2018 good. Like on this video, subscribe as much as possible, and we'll see you guys in the future. Hopefully this becomes an esport and we start looking at year 3 content, which is going to be my next video. We're going to talk about year 3 content. So anyways, for all of us here at Gun Brothers Gaming and Let's Talk, I'm Mounty Carl, and we'll see you guys in the competitive esports arena. Mounty out.